Well, I never thought my Saturday would start with the kind of letter that makes you question if you're still living in America, but that's exactly how the whole mess on Hummingbird Lane began. Picture this. I'm standing in my kitchen, just about to grind up some new coffee beans, when a plain white envelope slides under my door, silent, sneaky, like a warning shot from the universe. You ever just know something's wrong before you even see the sender? That was me, staring at the return address from the HOA, heart already thumping. I'll admit it, I cursed out loud. My grandma would have washed my mouth out. But hey, there's only so many HOA letters you can take before you snap. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for what was inside. Notice of reassignment of occupancy. You are required to vacate 14 Hummingbird Lane within 72 hours so the sister of the board president may assume residency. I must have read that sentence 3 times, sure I'd gone nuts, or maybe started hallucinating before breakfast. I own this house, bought and paid for with the insurance money my dad left behind, title in a frame, key that squeaks the same every time I turn it. Nobody assigns or reassigns my home but me. But there I was, hands shaking, coffee forgotten, staring at a bylaw amendment stapled to the back, dated last night. The HOA, under Zora, who's only been president for 3 months and runs the board like her own reality show, now reserves the right to reallocate underutilized dwellings to family, as if that's not the most backwards, anti-neighbor thing you've ever heard. And who gets my home? Zora's little sister, apparently. I know what you're thinking, illegal, right? You'd better believe that was my first thought. So, like anyone with a brain, I snapped pics of everything and texted them to my friend Florence, who is a property lawyer, war-hardened from years of defending small-time owners against big-time headaches. She replied in all caps, "On my way. Do not talk to anyone. That's a friend for you. Most folks show up with soup. She brings subpoenas." Florence rolled in like a storm, barely said hi, just scanned the documents, snorted, and declared, "Calix, this is forged garbage. They can't evict you without a judge. Only way you're leaving is foreclosure, and you're not even close." She was already dialing the county recorder to check my title and drafting a cease and desist. "Let them swing first," she said, sipping the coffee I shoved at her, "and we'll hit back twice as hard." Before noon, another twist. My neighbor Orion, the kind of techie college kid who wires his own doorbells for fun, knocks with a USB drive in hand. "My cam's caught something last night," he whispers, eyes wide. We pull up the grainy video. There's Zora, power suit and all, plus a younger woman, both sneaking around my garage at 3 a.m., measuring, posting a fake vacate sign, all the subtlety of a raccoon in a trash can. Orion's cameras even catch the reflection of their car's VIN in my window. Goldmine for court. Florence was giddy. We'd collect evidence quietly, then file everything Monday. But by afternoon, Zora herself is knocking on my door, clipboard in hand, her sister beside her, trying to look important. "We trust you received the notice," she starts, all syrup and fake sympathy. I nod, keep it polite, but Florence cuts in. "Under what law are you stealing this home?" Zora tries to bluff with expedited emergency powers. Florence's smile is pure shark, not a thing. "You've got 60 seconds to leave before we call this trespassing." Zora's sister tries to threaten, but Florence just shrugs. "Let it get messy on the record." I shut the door, adrenaline pounding. Behind the scenes, Florence tracks down the real scheme. A forged lien, supposedly for $200 in revitalization fees, slapped on my title with a notary stamp from a state 3 time zones away. Classic fraud. We file a motion for emergency injunction and blast the neighborhood group chat with news of the attempted coup. Then, in the spirit of malicious compliance, I printed the HOA's fake eviction notice poster size, taped it to my garage with a big arrow pointing to Zora's house, and camped out on my front lawn, lemonade in hand, announcing I was homeless by HOA decree. The TikToks started before sunset. Yeah, that happened. The next morning, Mrs. Marble, 90 if she's a day, who's lived here since the streets were gravel, shows up with a box of old HOA binders. Turns out, she was once on the board and never threw out a bylaw. Florence and I pour through decades of amendments, highlight the actual requirements. Can't change rules without a 2/3 vote and state-certified emergencies, which my sister's between leases definitely is not. Monday hits. Florence and I file the injunction at the courthouse. Meanwhile, Zora tries to send a locksmith to change my locks. Orion's motion sensor pings me. I call the number on the locksmith's van and point out that breaking and entering a deeded owner's home is a felony. The guy bails so fast he leaves his drill on my porch. Sheriff shows up an hour later, called by Zora. I hand him the injunction. He reads it, radios dispatch, and calmly tells Zora to knock it off or get arrested. She stalks off, purple with rage. That afternoon, Florence files a quiet title action, civil claims for slander and distress, even a bar complaint against the notary. Meanwhile, Orion and Marble gather signatures to recall the entire HOA board. And here's where it gets good. Florence brings in Gideon, a forensic accountant who flags nearly 50 grand in landscape improvement payments, all funneled to a shell company owned by Zora's sister. Same bank branch as Zora, consecutive account numbers. We've got fraud, embezzlement, racketeering, all the greatest hits. Recall meeting packs the clubhouse. 68% of the neighborhood votes to boot Zora. Florence takes over as interim board chair, much to Zora's horror. Gideon presents the findings. Zora's sister bolts for the door when the slides hit the wall. Law enforcement arrives the next day, Zora in cuffs. Her sister turns herself in later. The charges: forgery, wire fraud, conspiracy. For a minute, I thought that was the end. But Florence reminds me, the legal system moves like molasses. The forged lien lingers, our quiet title suit crawls forward. And wouldn't you know, the nonprofit where I work had also been hit. Turns out Zora's sister had funneled landscaping donations through her shell company too. Florence files a joint action, so now Zora's facing a war on two fronts. We plan a deed celebration cookout. I rent the clubhouse, Orion grills. Marble bakes cupcakes shaped like houses. Gideon shows kids how to dust for fingerprints. At dusk, a neighbor asks how it feels to still have my house. I look around at all these people, kids running, music playing, and realize the real eviction was corruption getting booted out. Feels like justice, with a smoky aftertaste. Of course, Zora isn't done. Next thing, I get served a 42-page lawsuit, defamation, humiliation, you name it, because my protest and the party damaged her earning capacity. Florence grins, slaps suit. We'll win this and get paid for it. And we do. The judge dismisses her complaint, tacks on $38,000 in fees, and orders a public apology in the HOA newsletter, signed with her inmate ID. Twists just keep coming. One night, the sprinkler system bursts. I go outside to fix it, find a half-drowned calico cat tangled in trash bags, and a PVC canister labeled HOA main supplies, do not open. Inside, 10 debit cards with HOA logos and old board members' names, plus receipts, some for jewelry, not mulch. Florence calls it asset concealment. I call it a cover-up gone sloppy. Sprocket the cat, by the way, now lives with me. Best roommate I ever had. During the next hearing, Florence methodically lays out every lie. Doorbell clips, fake notices, receipts for missing garden stones, and the infamous canister. Zora's attorney wilts. Kaya, the sister, tries to pin it all on Zora. Eventually, Kaya flips, delivers voice memos and spreadsheets, and Zora's bail is yanked. By summer, Florence runs the board. The neighborhood has new rules. Every expense over $500 posted online. Meetings live-streamed. No more dynasty presidents. Sunlight, as Florence says, is the best disinfectant. Restitution day is bittersweet. Zora's home is auctioned. Proceeds go to the victims. Kaya does community service painting park benches. Zora ends up scooping litter at the animal rescue. The judge commends me for not losing my temper, says the rule of law still means something. On the way out, I tell the news crews, home ownership is a responsibility, not a ticket to greed. Today, responsibility 1. We hold one last block party. Sprocket chases moths, the new sprinkler system works, and kids laugh under the lights. The mural I paid for, painted by a local artist, shows our street, a burst pipe, a tiny calico wearing a crown. Orion's drone footage wins an award. Marble's old bylaws headline a local exhibit. And every Sunday, I sip espresso on my porch, Sprocket purring at my feet. A year later, Zora mails a photo, rehabbing foreclosed homes for veterans, a ginger kitten by her side. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened, but it sure lightens the load. So yeah, I defended my home. By the book, with a little neighborly help, a lot of receipts, and the world's luckiest rescue cat. Tell me, if it was your house, your neighborhood, would you fight back or let them roll over you? Drop your thoughts below, share your own HOA horror stories, and let's hear where you stand on what real justice looks like. Thanks for sticking with me. See you next time.